Have you ever found yourself wondering where you stand with him? The signals feel so mixed, the gestures so subtle, that you're left questioning if you're truly special or just another fleeting presence in his life. Let's be honest, deciphering a man's emotions can sometimes feel like solving a riddle with missing pieces. But here's the game changer. When a man shares specific parts of himself with you, he's telling you in his own way that you matter deeply. The key is recognizing these moments. What if I told you there's a way to decode these signs and unlock a level of connection so powerful, it can redefine your relationship? This isn't about guessing or playing games, it's about understanding the language of emotional intimacy. And believe me, the moment you can recognize and respond to these cues, everything changes. You'll stop second-guessing and start knowing. Today, we're diving into the 9 transformative things a man shares only with someone he truly values. Each one is like a secret key to his heart, a sign that you've broken through the layers and reached a part of him reserved for very few. This isn't surface-level fluff. This is dark Stoic psychology, a way of understanding the unspoken depth in human connections. Are you ready to explore these signs and take control of your emotional destiny? Let's begin. 1. He introduces you to his inner circle. Picture this. You've been seeing him for a while. Things seem good, maybe even great. Then one day, he says those 6 magical words. I want you to meet them. His friends, his family, his inner circle. Suddenly, you're not just someone he's dating, you're someone stepping into his world. This isn't a casual act. For a man, bringing someone into his closest circle is like handing you a backstage pass to his life. These are the people who know him best, who've seen him at his most raw and real. Why would he open that door unless he saw you as someone who truly matters? Think about it. Have you ever introduced someone you didn't care deeply for to your most trusted confidants? But here's the question. How do you know this is significant? Men don't tend to say, hey, this is a big deal for me. They act. Their invitations to meet family or lifelong friends are their way of saying, I trust you. This is their language of emotional investment. So, what should you do when this moment happens? First, understand that this is a test of sorts. His inner circle isn't just there for introductions, they're the gatekeepers to his world. They'll be watching you, gauging how you interact, and determining if you're a fit. And yes, their opinions often matter to him more than he'll admit. How do you ace this? By being authentically you. Don't try to impress or overthink it. Instead, show interest in his people. Ask questions and build bridges. The more genuine your interactions, the more likely they are to see what he sees in you, someone worth keeping around. Now, let's dive deeper into why this matters. A man's inner circle is his safety net. They've been there through his highs and lows, and their approval or doubts carry weight. When he's opening this door, he's essentially saying, I'm ready to share this part of my life with you. That's no small step. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. For men rooted in Stoicism, this act carries even greater weight. Stoic men are often guarded, valuing their inner peace and control above all else. Allowing someone into their most personal spaces, whether that's a family dinner or a poker night with the guys, means they're making a conscious decision to trust you. This is where dark Stoic psychology becomes a game changer. Recognizing this vulnerability as a profound act of connection gives you the power to deepen the bond between you. Still wondering how to respond when he introduces you to his inner circle? Ask yourself this. How can you show him that you value this opportunity without overstepping? Keep the balance. Let him see you're just as interested in his world as you are in him. And don't underestimate the ripple effect this has on your connection. The way you handle this moment will define how he sees your place in his life moving forward. Remember, high-value women recognize and respond to these invitations with grace and authenticity. They understand that when a man invites them into his world, it's not just an action, it's a message. So, Are you ready to step into his inner circle with confidence and poise? If so, let him see the best version of you, and watch how this deepens the connection. 2. He shares his dreams and aspirations. Close your eyes and imagine this. You're sitting together, perhaps over a quiet dinner or during a walk under the stars. Suddenly, he begins to open up about his future, his goals, his dreams, the life he envisions for himself. And then, without even realizing it, he says something extraordinary. I could see us doing that together. Did you catch it? That subtle shift from I to we. It might seem like a small thing, but in reality, it's monumental. When a man shares his dreams and starts including you in his vision, he's showing you a side of himself that he doesn't share with just anyone. His aspirations are his sacred blueprint for the future, and if he's letting you into that world, you're not just another person in his life, you're someone he's actively considering as a partner in his journey. Why does this matter so much? For most men, their goals and ambitions are deeply personal. It's not something they announce to the world or even to their friends. These dreams are often tied to their identity, their sense of purpose. Sharing them with you is his way of saying, I trust you enough to hold this part of me. But here's the catch. How you respond in this moment can make or break the connection. Are you listening with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions, and showing that you respect his vision? Or are you brushing it off, too caught up in your own thoughts to see the significance of what he's sharing? A high-value woman knows the power of her response in these moments. When a man shares his aspirations, he's not just revealing his goals, he's inviting you to inspire and support him. This is where dark Stoic psychology comes into play. A man who practices Stoicism values actions over words. He's not looking for someone to solve his problems or critique his dreams. He's looking for someone who believes in him. So, how do you embody that high-value energy? Start by being fully present. If he's sharing his dream of building a business, traveling the world, or creating a legacy, reflect his excitement back to him. Let him know you see his potential, not just in what he's striving for, but in who he is. This isn't about agreeing with everything he says. It's about showing that you care enough to understand. For example, if he talks about a dream of starting his own company, ask questions like, what inspired that idea? Or, what would success look like for you? These kinds of questions not only show that you're invested, but also encourage him to think more deeply about his vision. And when he sees that you're genuinely engaged, he'll start associating you with the sense of purpose and excitement he feels about his future. Now, here's something most women don't realize. When a man includes you in his dreams, he's also testing the waters. He's seeing if you can handle the ups and downs of his journey, if you'll support him through the uncertainties. This doesn't mean you have to be his cheerleader 24/7, but it does mean showing that you're resilient, steady and ready to grow alongside him. What does this look like in practice? Let's say he shares a dream that feels far-fetched, maybe even risky. Instead of saying, that sounds impossible, try something like, that's bold, I admire your vision. What's your next step? This kind of response keeps the conversation constructive while showing him that you respect his ambition. And don't underestimate the impact of your own aspirations. Men who share their dreams with you are often equally curious about your goals. This is your chance to create a dynamic of mutual inspiration. Share your vision with confidence, and let him see that you're just as passionate about your journey as he is about his. This balance of shared ambition is where truly powerful connections are born. As you reflect on this, ask yourself, when was the last time you listened deeply to someone's dreams? How did it feel to be trusted with that part of their life? And more importantly, how did you respond? If you're enjoying this journey into the mind and heart of high-value men, let us know. Like this video and comment number 1 if you resonate with these insights with Geese. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more transformative content like this. Your engagement fuels this community, and together, we're unlocking the secrets of meaningful connections. Ready for the next secret he shares when you're truly special to him? Stick around, because it only gets deeper from here. 3. He opens up about his past. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. How often do men willingly talk about their past relationships, regrets, or personal struggles? If you're thinking not very often, you're absolutely right. Men, especially those who value strength and control, rarely delve into the emotional archives of their lives, unless there's a compelling reason. So, when he starts sharing the moments that shaped him, the triumphs, the heartbreaks, and even the mistakes, you've stepped into a rare and sacred space. Why is this significant? A man's past isn't just a collection of stories, it's a roadmap to his inner world. These experiences have shaped his values, fears, and the way he approaches love and connection. When he shares them with you, it's not about oversharing or seeking validation. It's about inviting you to understand him on a deeper level. It's his way of saying, "This is who I am, scars and all. Can you accept me? But here's the thing. This isn't just about listening. How you respond in these moments determines how safe he feels in continuing to open up. Are you truly present, or are you rushing to compare his story to your own? Are you offering empathy, or are you inadvertently passing judgment? The difference matters. When a man talks about his past, he's often navigating layers of vulnerability. He might tell you about a relationship that ended painfully, a failure that still stings, or even a decision he regrets. In these moments, he's trusting you with a piece of himself he doesn't show the world. This trust is fragile, and your role is to hold it with care. Let's consider this through the lens of Stoicism. For many men who live by Stoic principles, the past is something to learn from, not dwell on. Yet, even the most Stoic man knows the power of sharing his journey with someone he values. This is where dark Stoic psychology becomes relevant, understanding that his openness is a calculated risk, one he's taking because he sees potential in the relationship. How can you show him you're worthy of that trust? Start by listening actively. When he shares a painful memory, resist the urge to offer quick solutions or platitudes like, "Everything happens for a reason." Instead, acknowledge his feelings. Try saying, "That must have been really hard for you. Thank you for sharing that with me." These simple words create a space of safety and connection. Equally important is your ability to handle what he shares with grace. For example, if he opens up about a mistake he made in a past relationship, avoid using it against him later. Trust is built in these moments, and it can be broken just as easily. Men remember how they felt during vulnerable conversations, and if you react with judgment or dismissiveness, they may retreat emotionally. Now, let's flip the script for a moment. What happens if he shares something about his past that surprises or even unsettles you? Maybe it's a decision he made that you wouldn't have, or a period of his life that feels foreign to your own experiences. Instead of letting your emotions take over, approach the conversation with curiosity. Ask questions that show you're interested in understanding his perspective, like, "What did you learn from that experience?" Or "How do you think it shaped who you are today?" When you respond with openness and curiosity, you're signaling to him that his past doesn't scare you, that you're here for who he is now, not just the polished version of himself he presents to the world. This is a powerful way to build trust and deepen your connection. But there's another layer to this. When a man shares his past, he's also observing your reaction to see if you're someone who can handle the complexities of a real relationship. He's looking for signs of emotional maturity, for someone who understands that everyone has baggage, but doesn't let it define them. If you can meet him in this space, with empathy, curiosity, and emotional strength, you're not just gaining his trust, you're earning his respect. Take a moment to think about the last time someone shared a vulnerable part of their past with you. How did it feel to be trusted in that way? And more importantly, how did you respond? These moments are rare, and they carry the potential to transform relationships when handled with care. When a man chooses to open up about his past, he's offering you a key to understanding him on a level most people never reach. It's a privilege, and it's also a responsibility. Are you ready to hold that space for him and show him that his past doesn't diminish his value in your eyes, but instead makes him human, real, and worth knowing? Stay tuned, because there's more to uncover about what a man shares when you're truly special to him. The deeper we go, the more you'll learn about how to build the kind of connection that lasts. 4. He talks about his fears. What does it mean when a man starts to share his fears with you? Not the surface level worries like missing a deadline at work or forgetting to pick up groceries, but the deep, unsettling fears that keep him awake at night. The kind of fears that make him question his path, his worth, or even his place in the world. When a man opens this door, you're stepping into the most guarded part of his mind, a place where very few are allowed. Men are often conditioned to present a strong, unshakable front. Society has taught them that vulnerability is weakness and that fear is something to hide, not share. So when he starts to peel back those layers and lets you see the cracks in his armor, understand this. He sees you as someone he can trust, someone safe. But let's not confuse this with a casual act. Talking about his fears isn't something he does lightly. For a man rooted in stoicism, fear is something to face privately, to analyze and conquer in solitude. Yet, if he chooses to share it with you, he's making a conscious decision to let you into his inner world, a place where even his closest friends might not venture. Think about this for a moment. How often do you share your deepest fears with someone? What has to happen for you to feel safe enough to expose that vulnerable side of yourself? The same goes for him. This act is his way of saying, I trust you not to judge me. I trust you to hold this with care. Now, here's the question. How will you respond? When a man shares his fears, he's not necessarily looking for solutions. He's not asking you to fix the problem or to tell him what he should do. He's seeking understanding, reassurance, and perhaps most importantly, presence. This is where many people go wrong. They jump straight to problem solving, missing the emotional connection he's offering. What does he need instead? He needs to know that you're there, that you're not going to flinch or pull away from his vulnerability, that you're willing to sit with him in the discomfort of his fear and simply be present. This is where dark Stoic psychology becomes a powerful tool. A high-value woman understands that strength isn't about having all the answers, it's about offering steady, unwavering support. For example, let's say he confides in you about a fear of failure. Maybe he's worried about his career, his ability to provide, or even his sense of purpose. Instead of saying, "Oh, you'll figure it out, try something deeper," say, "That must feel really heavy. I'm here if you want to talk through it." These words acknowledge his feelings without trying to diminish or fix them. Or perhaps his fear is more personal, a fear of abandonment, of not being enough, or of being misunderstood. These are the kinds of fears that stem from past wounds, fears that often hide beneath the surface. If he's sharing these with you, he's showing you a side of himself that even he might struggle to accept. Your role here isn't to reassure him with empty promises like, "That'll never happen." Instead, offer empathy and honesty. "I understand why you'd feel that way. Thank you for trusting me with this. Why does this matter so much?" Because in these moments, you're building something that goes beyond attraction or chemistry. You're creating a foundation of trust, a bond that says, "I see you in your entirety, and I'm not going anywhere." This is the kind of connection that transforms relationships, the kind that makes them resilient in the face of challenges. But let's also be clear about one thing. Holding space for his fears doesn't mean losing yourself in them. You're not his therapist, And it's not your job to carry his emotional burdens. What you're offering is presence, not solutions, strength, not sacrifice. This balance is key to maintaining a healthy, thriving relationship. And here's the beauty of it. When you hold space for his fears, you're showing him a new way to relate, not just to you, but to himself. Men who embrace stoicism often struggle with expressing their emotions, let alone their fears. By showing him that vulnerability is met with compassion and not judgment, you're helping him rewrite the script. You're teaching him that sharing doesn't weaken him, it strengthens the bond you share. Have you noticed how rare this is in today's world? In an era of quick fixes and surface-level interactions, creating space for deep, authentic connection is a rarity. But it's also what sets you apart as a high-value woman. You're not afraid to go deeper, to sit with discomfort, to show him that his fears don't scare you. So, the next time he opens up about what keeps him awake at night, ask yourself, am I truly present? Am I responding in a way that builds trust? And perhaps most importantly, am I showing him that he doesn't have to face this alone? These moments might not feel glamorous or exciting, but they're the ones that matter most. They're the moments that build intimacy, the moments that transform a connection from something fleeting into something lasting. And as you reflect on this, remember, when a man shares his fears with you, he's not just letting you in, he's asking you to stay. 5. He invites you into his daily life. Imagine this. Your phone buzzes, and it's him. Not with a grand declaration of love or a long message, but something so ordinary it almost catches you off guard. I spilled coffee all over my desk this morning. What a disaster. Or maybe, this song has been stuck in my head all day. These moments might seem trivial, even insignificant, but they're anything but. When a man starts sharing the small, unremarkable details of his day with you, he's telling you something powerful. He's letting you know that you're on his mind, even during the most routine parts of his life. This is a subtle, yet deeply meaningful, way of weaving you into his world. He's not just reaching out for a big conversation, he's inviting you to be part of his everyday rhythm. So, why does this matter? Men are often focused on the big picture, goals, accomplishments, and milestones. They're not typically inclined to dwell on the little things, unless those little things involve someone they care about. Sharing these snippets of his daily life means he values your presence and wants to create a sense of closeness, even when nothing extraordinary is happening. But how should you respond to these moments? Here's the secret: don't dismiss them. It might be tempting to think, why is he telling me about his spilled coffee? But what he's really saying is, I want to share my world with you, no matter how small the detail. These are his attempts at connection, his way of showing you that he feels comfortable letting you in. Responding thoughtfully to these moments can strengthen your bond. For example, if he tells you about an awkward meeting at work, instead of just saying, "That sucks," try something like, "What happened? How did you handle it?" This not only shows you're engaged, but also deepens the conversation, giving him space to share more. And here's another layer to consider. When a man includes you in his daily life, he's also testing how you'll fit into his world. Can you laugh with him about the silly things? Can you listen to his frustrations without judgment? These are subtle but significant markers of compatibility. High-value women understand that the little things often matter just as much, if not more, than the grand gestures. Think about it. How many people in your life get to see the in-between moments, the times when you're not performing, not on your best behavior, just being you? When he shares these moments with you, he's giving you access to a part of himself that he doesn't show to everyone. This is where dark Stoic psychology comes into play. Men who practice Stoicism often keep their emotions and thoughts guarded, especially in casual or surface-level relationships. But when he begins to involve you in the mundane parts of his life, it's a sign that he's letting his walls down. He's saying, in his own way, "You're important enough to know the unfiltered version of me." So ask yourself, how do you respond when he lets you in like this? Are you present, engaged, and appreciative? Or are you brushing off these moments as unimportant? Your response can either nurture the connection or unintentionally push him away. And don't forget, sharing his daily life is also his way of checking how he fits into yours. Are you reciprocating? Do you share the funny or frustrating details of your own day? This mutual exchange of small moments builds intimacy and creates a shared narrative, a foundation that can sustain a relationship through both the highs and the lows. If this insight resonates with you, let us know. Like this video and comment number 1 if you've ever experienced these subtle but meaningful gestures from someone special. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful relationship insights like this. Your engagement helps us continue to explore the mysteries of human connection and the art of building lasting, meaningful bonds. Ready to uncover more about what a man shares when you're truly special to him? Stay tuned, it only gets more revealing from here. 6. He lets you into his personal space. Picture this. He invites you over to his home, or maybe he shows you his workspace, his favorite hangout, or even a quiet corner of the world that holds a special meaning for him. It might seem like a simple act, but make no mistake, when a man lets you into his personal space, he's doing far more than opening a door. He's inviting you into his sanctuary, the part of his life that reflects who he truly is when no one else is watching. For men, personal spaces are sacred. They're not just places, they're extensions of identity. A home isn't just where he lives, it's where he retreats to recharge, to think, to process. Every item, every arrangement, even the clutter, tells a story about what he values and how he views the world. Letting you step into that space isn't just an invitation to visit, it's an invitation to understand. So, what does it mean when he shares this with you? It means he's comfortable enough to show you his unfiltered reality. He's willing to let you see beyond the curated version of himself he presents to the outside world. He's saying, "This is me, take a closer look." But how do you respond in these moments? First, by paying attention. Look beyond the surface of what you see and ask yourself, what does this space say about him? Is it filled with books that reflect his passions, mementos from his travels, or tools that speak to his hobbies? Or maybe it's a minimalist, orderly haven that reveals how he values simplicity and clarity. Each detail offers a window into his personality. And it's not just about what's there, it's about how he behaves when you're in his space. Does he seem at ease, or is he nervous, as if he's waiting for your reaction? If he's relaxed, it's a sign that he trusts you to see this side of him without judgment. If he's a little uneasy, it means he's stepping out of his comfort zone to let you in, a vulnerable and meaningful gesture. For men who live by Stoicism, this act carries even more significance. Stoicism teaches self-reliance and control, and a personal space often represents those ideals in physical form. Inviting someone into that space requires relinquishing a degree of control, an act that isn't taken lightly. It's his way of signaling that you've earned his trust. But there's a deeper layer to this. Letting you into his personal space isn't just about the present, it's also a way of envisioning the future. He's testing how you fit into his world, not just theoretically, but tangibly. Can he see you sharing that space, not as a visitor, but as part of his life? The answer often lies in how you respond. One of the most powerful things you can do is show respect for his environment. That doesn't mean tiptoeing around or being overly formal. It means being mindful of what this space represents to him. If he's proud of something, like a collection of artwork or a project he's been working on, take the time to notice. and ask about it. These small acts of curiosity and appreciation go a long way in reinforcing the connection. But there's also a balance to strike. While it's important to engage with his world, it's equally crucial to maintain your individuality. He's inviting you into his space because he values you, not because he wants you to blend in or lose yourself in his identity. The most meaningful relationships are built on mutual respect for each other's autonomy. And let's not forget the moments of vulnerability that often arise in personal spaces. Whether it's a photograph of a loved one, a worn-out piece of furniture with a story behind it, or even the way he talks about his routine, these are the details that reveal the layers beneath his exterior. Being present and attentive in these moments shows him that you're not just interested in the surface, you're interested in him. So, the next time he invites you into his personal space, ask yourself, am I truly seeing him for who he is? Am I honoring this invitation with the care it deserves? Because when a man lets you into his sanctuary, he's not just sharing a part of his life, he's asking you to be part of it. And that's a gesture worth cherishing. 7. He shares his vulnerabilities. Imagine sitting across from him, and for a moment, the confident, composed man you've come to know pulls back the curtain. He begins to talk about something that makes him feel exposed, a fear, a past failure, or an insecurity he rarely admits to himself, let alone to someone else. This isn't casual conversation. This is a defining moment. When a man shares his vulnerabilities with you, he's trusting you with a piece of his soul. For men, vulnerability doesn't come easily. Society often teaches them to hide their emotions, to mask their fears with strength, and to never let anyone see the cracks. To share something deeply personal requires courage, a willingness to risk judgment or rejection. So when he chooses to share his vulnerabilities with you, it's his way of saying, I trust you, I feel safe with you. But here's where many miss the significance. This isn't just about him opening up, it's about what happens next. How you respond will shape the trajectory of your relationship. Will you meet him with compassion, creating a space where he feels seen and valued? Or will you brush it off, leaving him to retreat back into his emotional fortress? When a man shares his fears or insecurities, he isn't necessarily looking for solutions. In fact, trying to fix what he's sharing can sometimes make him feel dismissed, as if his vulnerability is a problem to be solved. What he needs is presence. He needs to know that you're listening, that you understand, and that you're there. Not to change him, but to support him as he works through it. This is where dark Stoic psychology plays a crucial role. A man practicing Stoicism values inner strength and emotional resilience, but even he knows the power of being seen. Sharing his vulnerabilities with you is an act of trust, a moment where he lets down his guard and allows you to see the parts of himself he usually keeps hidden. Your response isn't just a reflection of your empathy, it's a signal to him about the kind of connection you're building. For example, imagine he opens up about a time he failed, maybe in his career or a personal goal that didn't go as planned. Instead of saying something like, "Oh, but look at how much you've accomplished," which might unintentionally downplay his feelings, consider saying, "That must have been really tough for you. How did you get through it?" This approach acknowledges his experience without dismissing it and invites him to share even more. Or perhaps he talks about feeling uncertain, about the future, his decisions, or his ability to meet expectations. This is a moment to offer reassurance, not by telling him what he should do, but by affirming that his feelings are valid. Try saying, "I get why you'd feel that way. It's a lot to carry, but I admire how you're facing it." These words not only show empathy but also reflect his strength back to him. Vulnerability also reveals something deeper, his willingness to grow. When a man shares his struggles, it's often a sign that he's working to understand himself better. He's not just unloading his emotions, he's inviting you to join him on a journey of self-discovery. This is where your role becomes pivotal, not as a fixer, but as a partner who stands beside him, steady and unwavering. But let's not romanticize this without acknowledging the weight it carries. Being present for someone's vulnerabilities is a responsibility. It requires emotional maturity, patience, and a willingness to hold space for discomfort. It's not about having all the answers, it's about showing up fully, even when it's hard. And let's be honest, there's a risk in this. When someone shows you their deepest fears, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or unsure of how to respond. But remember, your job isn't to carry his burdens for him. It's to show him that he doesn't have to carry them alone. This balance of support and independence is what creates a truly meaningful connection. Have you ever noticed how rare it is for men to feel safe enough to share their vulnerabilities? In a world that often demands emotional stoicism from them, your ability to create a space of understanding and acceptance is a gift. It's what sets you apart as a high-value woman, someone who sees not just the man he presents to the world, but the complexities beneath the surface. So, the next time he shares something that feels raw or unguarded, ask yourself, am I truly listening? Am I responding in a way that shows him he's safe with me? Because when a man shares his vulnerabilities, he's not just opening up, he's inviting you into a deeper, more authentic connection. And that's a privilege worth honoring. 8. He shares his embarrassing or unfiltered moments. Picture this. He tells you about a time he tripped in front of a crowd, or maybe he admits to an irrational fear, like how he jumps at the sight of a spider. He's not trying to impress you in these moments. In fact, he's doing the opposite. He's letting you see the raw, unpolished side of him. These unfiltered, sometimes embarrassing confessions are more revealing than you might realize. When a man shares his most awkward human moments with you, he's not just telling a funny story. He's saying, I trust you enough to see the real me. Why does this matter? Because most people spend their lives carefully curating how they appear to others. They share their successes, their confidence, and their strengths, while keeping the rest hidden away. For a man, being willing to expose the parts of himself that aren't perfect, those moments that might make him look foolish, signals that he doesn't feel the need to put up a facade with you. He's inviting you into his authentic self. Think about it. How often do you share your own embarrassing stories? Probably only with people who make you feel safe, people you know won't use those moments to judge or mock you. It's the same for him. Sharing these moments is a way of testing the waters, seeing if you'll still respect and accept him when the image of perfection fades. Here's the real secret. Your response in these moments matters more than you might think. When he confesses to singing terribly in the shower or shares an awkward childhood memory, he's not looking for you to downplay it or tease him harshly. What he's really asking, without saying it directly, is, am I safe with you? Will you laugh with me, not at me? So, how should you respond? With warmth and humor. Laugh if the moment calls for it, but make sure your laughter is shared, not pointed. You could say something like, that's hilarious. I love that you can laugh at yourself. This not only validates his willingness to share, but also shows that you appreciate his authenticity. And don't underestimate the impact of reciprocating. If he's sharing his unfiltered moments, it's a perfect opportunity to share some of your own. Tell him about the time you accidentally wore mismatched shoes to work, or how you once called your mom during a meeting. This exchange of imperfections creates a bond built on mutual acceptance, making it clear that you're not interested in perfection, you're interested in connection. Here's where dark Stoic psychology offers another layer of insight. For men who embrace Stoicism, sharing unfiltered moments can feel counterintuitive. Stoic men often value composure and self-control, so exposing a side of themselves that feels chaotic or awkward is a significant step. When he does this, he's showing you that he trusts you enough to let go of those Stoic ideals, if only for a moment. Your reaction then becomes a reflection of whether trust was well placed. But there's more to this than just trust. When he shares these moments, he's also seeking to create a deeper sense of intimacy. He's showing you that he's not just the strong, composed man you see in public, he's also human, vulnerable, and sometimes a little goofy. Recognizing and cherishing these moments can strengthen your relationship in ways that grand gestures never could. Think about how these shared moments build a foundation for your connection. When he knows you're someone who can laugh with him about the silly things, he also knows you're someone who can weather the harder moment. It's in these small, seemingly insignificant exchanges that trust is built, layer by layer. So ask yourself, how do you respond when someone shares their imperfections with you? Are you creating a space where they feel celebrated for being real? Or are you unintentionally making them feel self-conscious? The way you handle these moments shapes the way they see you, and more importantly, the way they see themselves around you. If this resonates with you, take a moment to let us know. Like this video and comment number 1 if you've ever shared a silly or embarrassing story with someone you trust. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights on building deeper, more meaningful relationships. Together, we're exploring the moments that matter and learning how to create connections that last. Stay with us, because the final part of what a man shares when you're truly special to him is the most powerful yet. You won't want to miss it. 9. He talks about a future with you. Now imagine this. You're sitting together, maybe casually chatting about life, when suddenly his words shift. He's no longer talking about his plans or goals in isolation. Instead, he's saying things like, "We could travel there someday," or "I wonder what it would be like if we moved somewhere quieter." Subtle, yes, but make no mistake, when a man starts talking about a future that includes you, it's one of the clearest signs that you hold a special place in his life. For a man, discussing the future is often tied to his sense of purpose. Whether he's mapping out his career, planning financial goals, or dreaming about adventures, his vision of the future is sacred. It's where his ambitions, desires, and dreams converge. And when he begins to include you in that vision, it means he's not just thinking about what's next for him, he's thinking about what's next for both of you. Why is this so significant? Because men rarely make long-term commitments lightly. If he's imagining a life that involves you, he's moving beyond the present moment and considering the kind of relationship he wants to build. This isn't just about fleeting attraction or temporary connection, it's about investment. He's envisioning a partnership, a shared journey, and he's testing the waters to see if you're just as interested. But what do you do when this happens? First, pay attention. His words might be subtle, almost casual, but they carry weight. Is he talking about a future vacation, a business he wants to start with your input, or even a shared home? Each of these hints reveals how he sees you fitting into his life. Take a moment to reflect on what he's saying and consider how you feel about his vision. If his dreams align with yours, show him you're engaged. Ask questions like, "What excites you most about that idea?" Or "How do you think we could make that happen?" These questions do more than show your interest. They demonstrate that you see potential in his plans and are willing to be part of them. And that, in turn, strengthens his confidence in moving forward with you. But let's not ignore the complexity here. Talking about the future isn't always straightforward, especially for men who value their independence. For some, including someone else in their vision might feel risky. It means opening themselves up to vulnerability and potential disappointment. This is where understanding dark Stoic psychology can make all the difference. Stoicism teaches the value of focusing on the present while remaining mindful of the future. A man rooted in Stoicism won't make promises he can't keep, and he won't include someone in his plans unless he genuinely believes in their potential. So when he shares his vision of a shared future, he's taking a calculated step, balancing his desire for connection with his need for authenticity. What does this mean for you? It means that when he includes you in his plans, he's not just being romantic, he's being romantic. He's imagining a life where you're not just a companion but a partner, and your role in that vision matters. Are you showing him that you're just as committed to building something meaningful? Are you demonstrating that your values align with his, not just in words but in actions? And let's not forget that these conversations about the future often reveal a man's priorities. Does he talk about creating stability, pursuing adventures, or building a legacy? Each of these themes gives you insight into what drives him and what he values most. By engaging with these ideas, you're not just learning about his plans, you're learning about his heart. But what if his vision doesn't perfectly align with yours? This is where honesty and open communication come into play. Instead of dismissing his ideas, express your perspective with curiosity and care. For example, you might say, "That sounds exciting. I hadn't thought about it that way. Can we explore how our goals could fit together?" This kind of dialogue strengthens your bond and shows that you're committed to finding a path forward together. Ultimately, when a man talks about a future with you, it's one of the most vulnerable and meaningful things he can do. He's not just sharing his dreams, he's inviting you to be part of them. He's asking, in his own way, "Do you see a future with me too?" And how you respond will shape not just the relationship you have today, but the one you're building for tomorrow. When a man shares these intimate parts of his life with you, his inner circle, his dreams, his vulnerabilities, even the unpolished corners of his reality, it's never random. These are his ways of saying, "You're special to me," even if he doesn't put it into words. For men, actions often speak louder than declarations, and understanding these gestures is like holding the key to his heart. But here's the real question. Now that you recognize these signs, what will you do with them? Will you brush them off as ordinary? Or will you lean in, respond with intention, and deepen the connection? Relationships aren't built on big moments alone. They're crafted in the subtle, everyday exchanges that most people overlook. These moments are transformative because they're rooted in authenticity and trust. They reflect his willingness to take risks emotionally and allow you to see him as he truly is, not just the man he shows the world, but the man behind the mask. So, how do you nurture this connection? It's simple but profound. By showing up fully with curiosity, compassion, and the same willingness to be vulnerable. Recognize that he's offering you pieces of himself, not because he has to, but because he chooses to. Honor that choice with the way you listen, engage, and respond. Let this understanding guide you as you navigate the complexities of love and connection. And if you found these insights valuable, let us know. Like comment number 1, and subscribe to our channel for more transformative content on relationships and personal growth. Together, we're uncovering the truths that build meaningful connections and learning how to create relationships that last. Thank you for joining us on this journey. May your connections be filled with trust, respect, and the kind of love that sees and celebrates every layer of who you are. Until next time, stay curious, stay present, and stay true to yourself.